Okay, y'all, so as I said before, we're bringing wisdom back to the scriptures in layman terms. I like to make things as easy as possible for people to understand, because what they do in this wicked world is that they use knowledge as a means to have dominion over people. They use knowledge as a means to have a sense of power over people. See, what I do is I try to empower people. I don't want power over people. I want to empower people. And how you do that is make things easy for people to understand. See, what they've done with the Bible, just as they did in the slavery days, is they make things very complicated. They make people as point of guard over the information that all of y'all should know. It's readily available, but it's not easy to understand. So I'm here to make things very easy for you to understand. Layman terms and how it applies in real life, because that's what wisdom is life experience and knowing the difference between good and evil. Sign of Emmanuel. And yeah, I don't want to use all these special words. I could talk like this too. I can speak like a news reporter and give you all these extra words, but I'd rather not. I'd rather talk like this, regular, so y'all understand me. Okay? So this person asked me a question. They asked me a few questions and I wanted to directly, acknowledge it. You asked me, why did Jesus say he was Lucifer in Revelation 22:16? I got the script here open. And call himself the bright morning star. Let's go right into what the red saying says. It says, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. Okay. See, when people hear that, they associate that with Lucifer. But if we go back to Isaiah 14:12, I think that's what it is. Yeah, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? See, this is very important to recognize that stark difference. When we talk about Christ, right? Christ ascended. Christ not only ascended, but he talks about in the world to come, that there will be no more nighttime. It will be day. It will be light. Because remember, he's recognized as a light. Well, see, Lucifer was considered a special angel if you look back at some biblical texts. But the problem with Lucifer is when God made a commandment, and this was recognized in the first book of Adam and Eve, for him to give reverence to man, he refused. He refused the commandment of God. Whereas Christ was the obedient son who listened, who followed all the ways of the Most High and gained that name of being the bright and morning star. Where Lucifer, on the contrary, fell to how you want to go above me, how you want to go above the stars. Satan is likened to having a throne. That being is likened to having a throne. And it's like you want to go above, but down you will go. These are the references. You have to be able to recognize the differences and the truth of what the word actually says. If you look at who Christ was, he's the light. He comes as the sun and sun. He was obedient to the Most High in every way. And when he was tempted, he was not tempted. He didn't go. He didn't fall for that. And in all of that, even to the death of him, he stayed in obedience to the Most High and then ascended to the highest point. So, of course, he would be considered the bright and morning star. Lucifer lost his position. And now he's an angry little thing running around. And not only that, if you look at this wicked world, because truly it's upside down. Everything's backwards. Everything that y'all think is good is not good. But either way, they have you say good morning for a reason. Because Lucifer is known as the son of the morning. And that's why they have you say good morning. Everything here in this wicked world is meant for his worship or his throne. But again, remember that he's not okay with the throne that he has here. He wants to be above the Most High. So you got to recognize those stark differences. These people here, morning and morning, notice that you could say morning like the morning time, or you could say morning like of death. This is the shadow of the valley of death, really. And I always like to bridge it back into reality, layman terms, regular life that we can all understand. I go by the name Naomi. That's my first name. Then there's Naomi Campbell. We got the same first name, but are we the same people? No. She's a rich model going to Jeffrey Epstein Island. Me, I'm broke as all day on this app trying to teach y'all some truth about the wickedness of this world. and the differences between darkness and light. You got to be able to recognize the different characters, the soul of a person. What do they represent to you? Then you will know the truth. Stop looking at images and look at what people do. Because a word can just be a word, but is the action brought to not only that component, but you got to recognize the measure of duality within the scriptural text, the measure of good and evil. You got to be able to recognize that difference. Lucifer is very different than what Christ came to be. And you got to understand those differences, not only by the word, but by the character, the essence, the soul. What did that person give to you? What did that person bring to you? What did they teach to you? And you should then be able to recognize the differences. Yeah, there are comparisons. Even within the text, he's compared to the Lion of Judah. Yet Satan is called the devouring lion. There's a measure of duality there. You got to be able to recognize that duality, because there's always an image, right? There's a shadow, and then there's the actual self, right? The shadow self is of the darkness, but the actual self is of light, and that should kind of bring that understanding. So this person asks, why are we fearfully made? I understand being wonderfully made, but why does it say fearfully made? Okay. So I like to relate things to real life experience so that you can understand it in layman's terms. So when it comes to being fearfully made, because one of the big misconceptions here of people twisting and turning the words of God, which is iniquity, that's the archaic definition of iniquity, is to twist and turn, is they say that, oh, you're not supposed to fear the Lord. Yes, you are. When you're fearfully made, you're made in reverence, in respect of the Lord, of the Most High. Because let me tell you something, in real life, I love my mama. Man, I love that lady down. But let me tell you something, I fear her too. When fear is put into someone, there's a level of respect there. You're not going to cross certain kinds of boundaries. You're not going to do certain things because there's that fear. And then the components of fear, you got a boss, you're not going to act a certain way around your boss, the way you do with your little co-worker, right? You're going to act in a different way because the expectations are much different. When we think about the Most High, who is literally maker of all of this, like emanator, maker, he's done it all. He has everything. You're gonna fear that person. When he says fearfully made, we become new creatures when we're in the knowledge, in the know of the Most High, when we recognize the power of the Most High and just who he is in all aspects, in aspects that we can even understand as humans, as mortal beings right now. So you become fearful. You become fearful of the Most High's commandments. You become fearful of his judgments. You become fearful because you recognize how important it is. That is what it means by being fearfully made and wonderfully made. Because when you're made in the image or the likeness of God, you start to recognize that what's going on here ain't really what it is. Because let me tell you something, these people out here doing all these stuff they doing, they don't fear the Lord. They're not fearfully made. Because anybody who got fear of the Lord will run away from these acts, from these temptations, from these demons, from these devils, from these ways that are so away from God. That's what being fearfully made means. It's because you recognize, that's not someone you joke with. You don't play around with an alligator. You ain't gonna put your hand there and you might not come back with one. And that's why it says in the scripture, pluck thine eye out if it causes you to sin. Do all of that if it causes you to sin. That's what it means by being fearfully made. Because you recognize stepdaddy Satan ain't coming close to what the Most High Yah could do. Because fear not who could kill the body, fear who can kill the soul and the body. So that's essentially what it means by being fearfully made. You recognize the ways of the Most High Yah, and you like, I don't want to break them rules. Yeah, I understand who you are, Father. Yeah. You got this. I just want to follow the rules now. Okay, that's being fearfully made. All right, the healthy fear. That is the fear that you are supposed to have. Fear of these little devils and demons, and because they really can't, they don't have any power over your soul. But when it comes to the Most High Yah, he has power over your soul. Also, having wisdom, I recognize why people ask the questions that they do. And I got to address this for Israelites. Israelites love to make it a point to talk about, the New Testament is for the Greeks and the Romans and it's this influences and all of that. Yo, in the Old Testament, there's references of Orion. There's references of Saturn. There's all these different kinds of Greek references within that Old Testament. So you guys can't separate the two. The Old Testament is before the New Testament, and New Testament is just the furthering of the Old Testament. If you ask anybody this question, what is Christ like? What does Christ find appeasing and pleasing? He always pointed it back to the Most High. Understand that you don't even really know Christ that well, but when he came here, he made you understand the Most High. That's what he did. And that's where y'all lose focus and get deceived by the serpent. The serpent will tell you that Christ is a pagan and this and that. But yet still, everything that the true Christ did pointed all fingers back to the Most High Yah. So that's something that you have to recognize. And he always makes it the point to say that the Most High is spirit. Anybody who tells you otherwise here, that's not of God. And it's not going according to the word, but to their own private interpretation. See, people don't even know what that means right there, that private interpretation. When you go according to this word, the spirit of truth shall work within you. And as I do have the spirit of wisdom within me, she, her, feminine, I can definitely make this easy for you to understand. Now, you asked me another question, which I felt like was a leading question, but I'm going to address it anyways. You said, why did Yahweh have to leave before the Comforter came? So I'm going to read that scripture directly and then explain it to you in the eyes of wisdom, my dear. It says, nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him on to you. I'm going to follow up with what it says next. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin, because they believe not on me. Of righteousness, because I go to my Father, and ye see me no more. Of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. That's very important. You can't just take that piece out without hearing the whole entire thing. Okay? So, let's break it down. See, when Christ had to go away, what did he tell everybody? I go to prepare a place for you. My Father's house has many mansions. Remember, he's going away because he has to get things ready for us, for the world to come. When the Comforter, which is a spirit, which is something that we can't see with our eyes, but it works within us, making us aware of sin, because the true sin is not believing in what the Most High Yah said in his word. And remember, the word is not simply the Bible, but the word was life, which was his son. When you choose not to believe in the son that he sent, that is sin, guys. Simple. Of righteousness, because I go to my Father and you see me no more. Christ is not here to really delegate to you the words of righteousness. That is why we're in a fast right now as well of the word. As you can see in this world, righteousness is not supreme. In fact, it's on the bottom of the barrel. It's on the last of the list. You could tell, because even now, people could go to jail for years and never committed a crime. People getting washed up and nothing happens to them. Diddy could be raping all these people and doing all this weird stuff, and all he could do is get sued, but he ain't serving no time. You got to look at the fact that there's no righteousness in this land. So of righteousness, that spirit comforter keeps you honed in on that. Honed in on understanding what sin is, being away from Christ and the obedience of what the Most High said in his word, whether it's written or in life. Of righteousness, because you hold on to righteousness even in a world of righteousness. That comforter works within you because you know what is right. Okay? And of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. He's condemned. The fallen angel is condemned. The same Lucifer that you were talking about. He's condemned, and so are his other angels. And they know that. Comforter reminds you of this judgment. The judgment against who is condemned. You understand? There are people that are condemned. As much as they say everybody's going to get saved. That prince not getting saved. He's condemned. And so are his fallen angels. And anybody who chooses to become like them, they're not saved. They're not saved. Book of Enoch even tells you about that. So it reminds you that while we could point our fingers at each other, humans, as if we're not all sinners, right? We all do things that makes us fall from grace. But the idea is to have that comforter within us, that strengthening spirit that brings us back to that light, who brings us to that sun and makes you understand and realize the truth of this world. And while we're here, we don't fall to this world. Okay? That's essentially what that is saying. And I hope I made it clear for you. Send any more questions you got my way. I'm ready.